All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I know we are a little bit tight for time here. We've got a lot of content to get through. So good morning. Thank you for joining us for today's session on empowering your remote workforce with Windows 10 and Microsoft 365. I'm Matt Edwards, Senior Manager at CDW. Today I'm joined by Raman Dua and Ritu Dhaliwal, who are both Microsoft Solution Specialists and will be taking us through the content. Throughout the session, everyone will have the opportunity to ask questions in the Q&A chat field. We did receive some questions prior to the presentation, and we have ensured that all those will be addressed through the content that we share today. If there are additional questions, please ask through that Q&A field, and we will try to address as many as we can in the time allotted at the end of the presentation. And if there are any additional questions, you can certainly ask them in the Q&A, and we will try to respond to you through your CDW account manager. So just before handing things over, I just wanted to highlight a few reasons why CDW is such a strong partner with Microsoft on their platform. So next slide. At CDW, we are proud to be the leading IT solutions and services partner in Canada, and we are focused on integrating and managing technology to help customers achieve their desired outcomes. Next slide. And we got there by delivering strong performance over the past 35 years. And this has allowed us to continuously invest and develop our services practice globally. And one highlight here locally is in 2019, CDW acquired Scalar Decisions, which adds a lot of experience and service capability on Microsoft's platforms. Whether you're looking for product assistance, licensing assistance, or deployment assistance, we have the resources to support you throughout the entire process. We now have access to 2,000 plus technical resources and established professional and managed services practice. And no matter where you are in the country, with 9 locations across the country, we can deliver those services to you locally. And with that, I will pass things over to Ritu.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session on Modern Workplace, where we'll be talking about modern devices with Windows 10 Pro and Microsoft 365. My name is Ritu. I'm the CDW Microsoft Solutions Specialist. And presenting along with me today is Raman Dua from Microsoft, who is a commercial master trainer for Modern Workplace. All right, so as you may all know, Windows 7 support ended on January 14th of this year. With the shift to work from home, it is now more important than ever that users migrate to a current supported operating system such as Windows 10, so that they can receive regular security updates to help protect their device from malicious attacks. And the best of all, it's a smooth transition with 99% of Windows 7 apps being able to run on Windows 10. Now let's focus on that top number from the previous slide. 60+% are non-modern PCs. So when we talk about modern devices, what does that really mean? We're looking at 3 pillars: performance and security, design, and experiences. It's the features within these pillars that drive higher ROI for your organization. Better productivity with 10+ hours of battery life, a solid state drive for best performance, and various form factors to meet the needs of a modern worker. Reduced costs of ownership for outdated devices and security that you can trust. These devices are enabled for the best experiences, including Windows AutoPilot, a solution to simplify the way devices get deployed, reset, and repurposed with an experience that is zero touch for IT. Now, let's look at some examples of modern devices from Lenovo, Dell, and HP. The Lenovo X1 Yoga 4th Gen comes with a battery life of up to 18 hours. The Dell Latitude 7400 is the world's smallest 14-inch premium business class notebook, which comes in a 2-in-1. The HP Elite Dragonfly is the world's lightest compact business convertible, and with my own personal experience of having a Dragonfly, I could not emphasize enough how light this device truly is. Now, I'll pass it on to Raman, who will take us through Windows 10 and Windows AutoPilot.
Excellent, Ritu. So good morning, folks, and thanks for joining us in the morning today. So our emphasis as we look at the transitioning into a Windows 10 platform, the key takeaways I want to just kind of share with you, and here are the 4 pillars or segments where the building blocks are when it comes to Windows 10. So I'm going to be spending time on some of these components which are strategic when it comes to these 4 pillars, starting with intelligent security, simplified updates, flexible management, and enhanced productivity. So before I deep dive into these sections, here's one of the key things I just wanted to share with the larger audiences. And we continuously get asked on pro versus home. And when I wanted to summarize it, where are the key differentiators and why we should be looking at pro more closely, especially from our business perspective, the world we are in right now, the challenging change we are going through all of a sudden. So when I look through the key components, what differentiate a home versus a pro, and when you look at it carefully, and these are the strategic key features which makes the Pro Windows 10 to Pro stand out. So starting with mobile device management, I think we are all into the concept right now of looking at adopting AutoPilot. So think about it from a perspective of provisioning devices. Then the second one comes as dynamic provisioning. This is where we are able to provide our end users with a seamless transformation in terms of having a device shrink wrapped and they can turn it on, get productive, and the go. The third aspect, when you think about it, kiosk mode setup. This is where we can actually support an environment which is multi-user, it's managed remotely, and there is no touch involved in terms of having to go in and update that manually on and off. The components are, this is again strategic when it comes to adopting Windows 10 Pro is a support for Azure AD and also support for Active Directory. So this way, customers who have a lot of resources who are located across the country, coast to coast, you will be able to manage those devices remotely without actually having them come back onto your desk from an IT perspective, and you're able to log in, create, and apply all these updates, critical, non-critical updates on the fly, which you think are important from a business perspective. So here are key strategic components, again, from a summarized perspective, why adoption of Windows 10 Pro on modern devices makes a lot more business and also from a technical aspect. So let's go into the key components of the segments we looked at earlier. So the first one I'm going to kick it off is with security. So when I think about it from a security enhancements perspective on Windows 10, the ones which stand out is, let's talk about the Windows Sandbox. I think you might have heard about it before, but this has picked up a lot more in the prime time in terms of adoption by our customers. So what is the Windows Sandbox? This is basically giving me a way for actually going, running, testing out untrusted software, which I need to roll out in my organization. So when I think about it from a feature as to how quickly can I adapt and use it, the way I look at it is, traditionally, I think in the past, if we have been in the IT world, anytime we had an opportunity to go test a machine and or a software, we go buy a server, we buy the virtualization tools, we go try the software on those environments, get the reports created, run it on and off. Now I have an option actually to create this environment, which is an isolated desktop environment right in my device itself, which is again pushing the threshold towards adoption of modern devices. I can do my testing, which is required as an organization on that software, actually, and making sure anytime I'm doing the software testing on my environment, it is not going to impact my device itself. This is a feature capability built right off the gates in Windows 10. And the second component from a security enhancement perspective, this is one of the key takeaways. This is a component which has been adopted a lot more broadly by our larger audiences, especially around Defender Guard application. What does it basically do for us in a day in, day out? So this is designed for Windows 10 and Microsoft Edge, which is basically our browser. And this helps me to make sure we can isolate enterprise-defined untrusted site based on organizations. You might have a different flavor in terms of what the untrusted sites are from organization to organization. I can manage that. I can protect my entire workforce, basically meaning anytime any end user by default lands on that site, which is untrusted site, it'll basically isolate it without making an impact in my entire network and the device and the user level itself. The third component, microphone privacy setting. This is one of my favorites. It just enables me, and also I can manage in terms of microphones which are being default used by my applications. So if there is a preference for me as a user, I can actually use my device microphone. I can use a headset. I can actually customize my requirements based on my preference as a user. This is again helping me make sure as a user, I know exactly which applications are going to be using my microphone. Hey, I don't want these applications to use my microphone by default. I can actually go in, make sure I'm securing those applications out of the environment from a microphone perspective. So let's move forward to the second pillar, which is basically talking about simplified updates. Here are the three key components around that. And the first one, reserve disk space. And anytime I have been getting feedback from the customers I kind of connect and sync with, this is a great artificial intelligence built right out the gates within Windows 10. So why do I think it's a great value add in any business organization? So if I'm one of the IT team members, I don't actually have to manually go in, manage those devices, look at their drive sizes, look at the type of drives they have, and make sure I'm applying enough space that anytime I'm pushing critical updates, non-critical updates, and or any sort of security updates, I don't have to make sure those devices have space. The intelligence built into Windows 10 will actually automatically configure the reserve disk it needs to make sure anytime from a patch update and or from a security update perspective, we are able to carve out a separate space, what we call as reserve disk space, irrespective of the size of the drive. So if I have a 100 gig hard drive or a 500 gig hard drive or a 250 gig hard drive, it'll allocate the optimal space required for me to go make sure there is enough space so that I'd never actually come across any latency in my performance. Second component, very strategic, especially when we are going through a different change in terms of our global footprint from a work from home perspective and how do we actually go conduct business. Automatic restart sign on. So let's say if there is an example in this one is basically if I need to kind of go in and actually push out some sort of critical updates, and this has to be done during the business hours, and these are peak critical hours, maybe a lunchtime, if that's something you could work around. So this feature actually enables me to go apply these updates, ensure that the device is locked. That's a key takeaway. Anytime the user comes back, they will be able to unlock the devices and the updates will be applied right away. So to me, especially when we are managing a lot of resources remotely, these two features kind of go hand in hand when I think about it from an update perspective. Third component, again, giving us a bit of a time here in terms of pausing updates. If there's a component which we as an organization need to test out before we roll it out, I do have the capabilities now to kind of pause those components features getting rolled out automatically. I can fine tune it. I can test it out, and I can actually make sure if they are passing our compliance requirement from an organization perspective, they can be rolled out after going through some of our internal compliance and some security benchmarks we have set as an organization. So this is again a way for me to pause my updates, make sure I can actually roll them out. I can lock my user, make sure their devices are compliant. And from the top of it, I can also actually make sure from an update perspective, I'm able to lean on the innovations from an artificial intelligence built in Windows 10 to allocate the space I need to make sure we are working seamlessly day in, day out. So moving on to the third pillar. One of my favorites, and I think collectively as organizations, we have been spending a lot of time, Microsoft CDW, and thanks to all of you who have been coming in and asking us, how do we actually help in terms of making sure we are able to lean on the new innovations brought up by Microsoft, such as i.e. AutoPilot. And we have been spending a lot of time with customers like yourself to make sure we are able to automate this process in terms of making sure our devices, when they are rolled out, they can be delivered to you and your users in a shrink wrap device aspect perspective. So no longer I have to come across any devices with footprints and footmarks and collecting dust in my cabinets. I can actually make sure I have a net new user starting in my organization. I'll have them a device up and running on the Monday itself. So no longer they'll have to go back and kind of figure out if this device is getting updated by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't have to wait for like 3 to 4 business days. So when I think about it from an AutoPilot perspective, And we're going to spend some time on that. It's a very four-step process, and I'm just going to park it for the time being. Double click on that down the journey. But the quick snippet in terms of what AutoPilot is four steps. You're acquiring the device, registering the device to the organization. You customize the setup, again, based on what your requirements are. And I'm going to spend some more time on that. And end of the day, which is the orange color, is basically we are able to get those shrink wrap devices in your end user's hand. So let's look at the fourth pillar here in terms of enhanced productivity. So a couple of things, which kind of stands out here, and this is something I'm going to ask. If you ever have time, ease of access, this is where Microsoft is spending, making sure we are able to embrace, we are able to offer a better, richer experience in terms of ease of access to folks who have special needs in their life. So in terms, from a session perspective today, we just want to catch a little bit of a snippet. So folks in your organization, and there are some awesome stats to kind of think about. Organizations who have adopted folks with some sort of special needs in their life, they have seen a big increase in their revenue, up to almost 20%. Big stats in there. These are all real numbers based on studies and analysis done by larger global footprint organizations. What it basically captures is how can we actually embrace, make sure our special need customers have the capabilities to be productive, from a vision perspective to having some sort of challenge around hearing. All of these few components we have baked in as part of our accessibility. And this is where we are as an organization spending a lot more emphasis to make sure we are able to provide a seamless transformation experiences for folks with special needs. So for example, if you notice even my cursor at my end, I have this capabilities which I've kind of leaned on from a cursor and pointer perspective. I've kind of adapted that. Another experience which we are rolling out, and I hope you can actually come across, is the subtitled on the bottom of the slide deck. So this is a good way for us to enhance the experience for folks within the special needs area itself. Another component, and this is a bit of a more of a fun and also from options available for us as users. Now we have Teams adoption, which is extremely high, given the changing environment we all live in. We have actually brought in a special keyboard which can be leveraged, and you can try it right now on the go by tapping on your Windows plus period key. It'll give you a full keyboard in terms of emojis and special features. It kind of pops up on it. So if you are looking to send a message to someone, if someone pings you, you want to go for a coffee, you can put the thumbs up, put the smiley face in there, or a sad face that we cannot connect over, but we can do it virtually. All these are options available to you in your fingertips in a special keyboard, which can be populated by pressing the Windows plus the period key. Here's one of the key components, which again, I think which has been kind of outstanding. I just wanted to make sure we are just maybe kind of recapping on it, make sure from a virtual desktop perspective, we had our footprint, which was pretty standard and kind of very popular, was on the Windows Server. Now actually we can actually support Windows 10 and O365 from a virtual desktop perspective. So if there is a requirement and need in your environment to make sure you are able to offer both these flavors to your end users, yes, you can. You want to select one or the other, yes, both these options are available as an end customer to you to offer within your organization. So let me also kind of quickly give you a summary in terms of the evolution we continue to come up with, and let me just kind of summarize in how showcase how much we are putting in our efforts to make sure we are driving a lot more better, richer experiences with organizations like yourself. So there's a bit of a more footprint coming down the road, and there's some going to be new excitement coming up very shortly. So let's kind of double click on the Windows AutoPilot. And I think this has been one of the key buzzwords around the industry for a while. And let me kind of take you through this journey and kind of start off with what is AutoPilot. To be four key components, a way for us to customize the Windows image right directly from the cloud. Second component, which is, in my perspective, very strategic. It enables me to configure devices over the internet with no interaction from the IP admin. It makes a lot more relevant sense in the world we live in right now. Third component, from a prerequisite perspective, and what is it leaning on? It's built on the Azure AD, which is basically our AAD, and also from a mobile device management perspective / Microsoft Intune. which enables me to manage and configure the devices. And I'm going to showcase some of the key components in terms of a journey and how does it actually help us from a lifecycle perspective. And the fourth component, key value add, we are able to offer these devices with the solution we need for each end user right off the gates when they first start and log into the box itself, which is a modern device. So now the question comes in, why should we think about AutoPilot? So basically, when I think about it in a very simple way, it is actually enabling me to offer a solution, which is basically anytime I log into the device, I turn it on, I'm up and running in a few clicks. As an end user, I can keep a track on the whole process in terms of see the progression I'm making in as a customer month over month or day over day or week over week. So I can have a full process and overview. I can track it. I know where my devices are in the whole journey. Third component, big value add. We are taking on a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of provisioning minus the hassle. Basically, what does that mean? We are actually able to take away all the provisioning hassle you have gone through in the past. Let's bring it back and let us give you the time back on that. We will be able to offer you a device which is basically right out the gates, personalized, and it's good to go. You don't have to worry about it. We will manage it from our perspective. Fourth component, Windows AutoPilot, you can join to the Azure AD. If you're not ready right now, this is something we can help you get into the journey of the digital transformation. So from a lifecycle perspective, which I kind of mentioned earlier, the buzzwords, when I think about this little, the arrows going from left to right on the bottom, starting with procurement, deployment, business ready, management, retirement, if I'm thinking about it from a perspective of what's the value add here, the five key benefits I could think of, I don't have to maintain my images and drivers. That's something going to be automated for me. There's no need for IT to touch the devices, and we are able to drive home a message for our end users for a richer experience when it comes to device allocation. Third component, the process is simple. It's not complicated. It works. We have tested it out a lot of times now. The fourth component is it's the integration into the device supply chain, basically meaning we are able to actually have a lot more better ownership in terms of how do we procure the device, when did I procure the device, what did we deploy in, is it business ready, do we need to change it? Yes, we can. Do we need to allocate it to a different user when a user leaves the organization? Absolutely. Can I manage it? Absolutely. When the device is sunsetting, I'm able to keep a track on the entire process in terms of the device life cycle. So if there is something I need to go back and look at, I have already got a capacity in terms of 3-year to a 4-year deployment process. This is what we have as a bench life for our device. Yes, we are able to make a decision in there. So now the question comes is, how do we actually go through this journey? What's the key things? Very simple, straightforward components, 3 components. We are able to look at the deployment aspects from 3 aspects. One is you register the device. Second piece is you assign an AutoPilot profile to the device and you ship the device to the user. And I'll be very candid during this call. CDW, absolutely, they will be able to help you in this journey with the AutoPilot deployment. So now let's look at one of the key licensing components. So right out the gates, from a commercial perspective, Windows 10 1903, absolutely, that will be one of the key components to lean on and go drive and take from a licensing requirement perspective. Yes, there are different flavors available for Pro, which is on Windows 10 1903 for our educational customers. So there are different components around the license requirement on that. Rest of them are pretty straightforward. You need internet connectivity, can be cable, Wi-Fi, absolutely Azure AD. Premium is required, so basically meaning premium P1 version of Azure AD and or highly recommended in the P2 version of Azure AD. Mobile device management, highly recommended that we lean on Microsoft Intune and or any of the third party. And the other components are basically you have to have a CSP, which in this case we have CDW. We all know they are one of our key strategic Microsoft CSP partners in the journey, and they have a relationship with the customer, which is basically from an Azure AD perspective and also from an AutoPilot perspective. We just need to build that relationship to take away that heavy lifting from off your hands and make sure we are able to provision the devices on your behalf to your end users and drive home a rich experience. So let me just spend a little bit more time on a few scenarios where we think we can double click, triple click to make sure we drive a lot more value for you. Right on the gates, user-driven autopilot mode. This is basically you're able to deploy the device set up for a member of the organization, configured for that user person. Basically, it's going to be shrink wrap. You get the device, get it on, you get configured through your Azure AD. You're managing the device through mobile device management. They're up and running in there. Quick, seamless process. Second one. Now think about it. This is more for a frontline worker, maybe for a warehouse where you have multiple users coming in, logging in to the same device. Yes, we can help you configure that device based on the entire users looking to use looking to use that device to go in, complete their task, log in, get the job done, sign out. Next one comes in. Yes, we can actually help you create a device which can be a self-deploying mode capable. Right on. Third component. The third component is Windows Autopilot Reset. Yes, you want to redeploy a device in a business state ready, and we can double click on that in terms of basically simplify, meaning if I need to redeploy a device to some other users, yes, I can retire the user under my name, which is Raman. I can give it to someone else within my organization, for example, Ritu. Yes, that's possible. Fourth one, very popular with the customers, which is what we call as out-of-the-box experience, white glove. This is where we are able to apply your devices with your users' applications required, and they will be able to get those devices right on the gates. So think about a scenario, if you have a power user environment, and as a standard protocol within the organization is, we only go with 3 to 4 configuration across the board, which in this case, unfortunately, are not meeting your power user requirement. Now you can actually think about creating a business case where with our services, which is Autopilot white glove services, out of the box experience, we are able to provide a device which has your custom image on it with the application the power user needs it right out the gates. Yes, we can actually pre-provision the device right from our gates into your end user hands, no issue at all, seamlessly. We have done it a few times now. Windows Autopilot for existing devices, this is where we are able to lean on our services to deploy Windows 10 on an existing Windows 7 and or an 8.1 device. My recommendation on this piece is basically let's work on this in this scenario in case you have any existing device, because there are a couple of assessment tools available from Microsoft. We'll be happy to share that with you in case you need that, which will be able to double click and make sure if you are looking to deploy Windows 10 on your existing devices, are they really worth it? And if they are, it will just give them the green flying colors, and we're good to push out the Windows 10 on your existing device. If not, it'll give you the options available and the recommendations around it. So they are Microsoft tools, and they're also posted on our website. If you need more assistance, please let us know. Glad to help you on that journey. So let me also move forward here and kind of talk about some of the device manufacturers we support in this journey. And on that note, if you have any specific preference over each vendor, we'll be happy to work with you on that. And now I'm going to pass it over to Ritu, and she's going to walk us through key announcements and key components around Microsoft 365. Over to you, Ritu.
Awesome. Thank you, Raman. So what is Microsoft 365? Microsoft 365 is an integrated solution that empowers collaboration and has tools that help you grow your business while giving you peace of mind by safeguarding your business information. So let's look at the technology challenges faced by small and mid-sized businesses today. In designing Microsoft 365 Business, Microsoft wanted to address the day-to-day technology challenges that SMBs are facing. As an SMB, it's hard to keep up with the changes in technology and make sure that your current systems are updated. Any tech refresh is time consuming, it's possibly business disrupting. What you need is technology that keeps up with your needs, that it's agile with no downtime. Add to these the challenges of a mobile distributed workforce. According to a recent survey, 71% of employees in small and mid-sized business admit to accessing work content on their personal mobile devices. The technology demands of catering to a mobile distributed workforce requires strong collaboration capabilities that transcends devices. So now let's look at protecting sensitive data. 53% of SMBs collect sensitive information like social security number, and 1 in 5 SMBs collect bank account details. Given this and the rise in data breaches, it is important to have technology to protect the intentional or unintentional transmissions of sensitive data that could put you out of compliance or cause business-threatening downtime. Cyber threats and phishing schemes. This is a big one. 72% of SMBs believe that their company is very vulnerable to becoming a victim of cyber attack. Again, having technology in place that helps prevent you and your employees from being victims to phishing attacks and social engineered ransomware attacks is paramount given current climate. Now, let's unpack what we mean by get more done. With Microsoft 365, you get enterprise-grade email, file storage for documents, a hub for teamwork, and the Office apps all working together so you can increase your productivity and grow your business with confidence. In Microsoft 365, you get the latest Office apps that you love and are familiar with, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and more. More importantly, you get new features like intelligent recommendation tools. For example, Designer in PowerPoint. This is one that I use all the time. So it can automatically recommend slide designs based on your content without you having to build the slide. It helps you create your best work like a pro, saving you precious time and effort. You can get work done on the go with enterprise-grade email and calendaring features in Outlook, and you don't have to worry about running out of space in your mailbox. You can also stay on top of your work with access to your files with online file storage and OneDrive for Business. You get 1 terabyte of file storage, and you can share your files from anywhere and any device, whether at work, at home, or on the go. With email, conferencing, online storage, a hub for teamwork, and the Office apps all working together, you can increase your productivity and work more efficiently, saving you time and effort. So work better together. With Microsoft 365, you can work better together through the power of Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a hub for teamwork that brings together all of your team's chats, meetings, files, and apps, making it easier for you to collaborate and keep track of group projects involving your coworkers, customers, and your suppliers. With state-of-the-art co-authoring capabilities, you can share and edit your files in real time with your team from anywhere on any device. You can even host online meetings in Teams to get work done in real time. With one click, anyone inside or outside your company can join your online meeting. You can even record meetings and use the whiteboard to draw out ideas and work together to solve challenges. By providing your business a central repository that your team can collaborate around, Microsoft Teams greatly simplifies and enhances group collaboration. It helps increasing efficiency by helping your employees and customers get things done faster. Build your business. In Microsoft 365, we have specific apps designed to help you build your business. For example, you can track customer interactions and grow relationships with Outlook Customer Manager. You can view customer details, history, and track deals in progress within Outlook. Apps like Bookings help you simplify the process of scheduling and managing customer appointments. It has convenient web-based scheduling that allows your customers to self-schedule appointments with you. Furthermore, apps like Planner make it easy for your team to create new project plans, organize tasks, and get updates on progress. Now, one of the most important ones, safeguard your data. So to help safeguard your data, Microsoft uses a multi-layered approach. Our threat protection tools keep your business free of hazards such as spam, malware, viruses, phishing attempts, malicious links, and more, while helping to protect from sophisticated threats cunningly disguised as email attachments or links, zero-day ransomware, and other advanced threat techniques. These capabilities come from our built-in malware protection capabilities that not only help you prevent threats, but also alert you if a breach has taken place and notify you when additional actions are required, and from advanced file encryption made possible through our BitLocker technology. Unfortunately, we live in a day and age when virus and malware attacks are a common occurrence. When successful, these attacks can cause several issues for a company, from loss of customer trust to financial issues resulting from business-threatening downtime and more. ATP helps protect your business from sophisticated phishing attacks, unsafe attachments, suspicious links, ransomware, and other advanced malware. The threat protection features in Microsoft 365 scan each and every attachment coming in via email. It does a comprehensive real-time analysis of the behavior of the file to determine its intent, whether normal or malicious, thereby leading to better intelligent protection against unsafe attachments that are the basis for phishing schemes and ransomware infections. Today's bad actors are more clever than ever. Even your staff who understand that they shouldn't click on hyperlinks sent from people they don't know could be easily fooled by today's sophisticated phishing schemes. These features remove the guesswork by doing the check for you and protecting your users from clicking through to malicious or unsafe sites, or the system takes users to a warning page before allowing them access to the link. These threat protection capabilities also extend to device endpoints, helping prevent users from interacting with ransomware and malicious web locations. Now, onto the second layer. This helps you protect your business data or sensitive customer or employee information from accidental leaks by utilizing data loss prevention capabilities and mobile device management functionality across both iOS and Android devices, which protect your sensitive data from being accessed from unauthorized locations or through unauthorized applications. What you really get, in other words, is peace of mind that a file isn't going to be magically lost or corrupted. The threat of information loss is what keeps you up at night, but with your files securely backed up in the cloud and accessible only by you or your employees, even in the event of a lost or damaged device, you will never lay awake worrying about the security of your data again. You can enforce data encryption with BitLocker to help protect against data theft or exposure if a computer is lost or stolen. And you can get end-to-end Intune device management across all your devices, whether that's PCs, Macs, mobile devices, to protect sensitive information from leaking. Controlling and managing access to who has access to content is the third layer of your security strategy. A challenge that organizations have is controlling and managing who has access to the company's sensitive information. Enabling these controls without hindering productivity is also hard. Information protection policies in M365 provide capabilities to control and manage how information is accessed and making sure that only the right folks have access to the right data. So enjoy peace of mind with features such as the ability to communicate and collaborate securely while controlling access to sensitive information with controls like do not forward, do not copy, and many more. The ability to classify sensitive information like confidential and enable specific restriction for how classified information can be shared outside and inside your organization. The ability to securely share sensitive content with authorized external parties through easy to enable encryption controls. Now let's dig deeper into Microsoft Teams with Raman.
Awesome, Ritu. Thank you so much. Great summary in terms of M365. So let's double click further on the transformation with Teams and how does it actually help us right now in terms of the changing footprint and the global space we are in right now. So when I think about it from a team perspective, this is what comes to my mind. The 5 key components, starting with chats, meeting capabilities. I can make my phone calls locally outside. M365, O365, yes, it's a central hub for all my productivity, collaboration. This is my hub for a collaboration tool. And to sum it up in terms of our Microsoft enterprise grade security and compliance. So when I think about it from a security and compliance, this is where Microsoft is stepping in to make sure at any given point all our data is encrypted. From a compliance perspective, we are also helping our customer with GDPR. So another question comes is, what is GDPR? This is basically one of the standards rolled out by the European Union a couple of years back, which was making sure anytime the data is out there, it is encrypted at all given points. Data at rest, data in motion, and in transit. This is where Microsoft Teams is summing it up to make sure we actually are compliant from an aspect of GDPR perspective. Now, what the question is, hey, what is GDPR? GDPR is basically General Data Protection Regulation. And it basically means at any given point, organizations are capturing customers, vendors, users' data. It is encrypted at all times with the 3 components I talked about, data in motion, in transit, and at rest. So when it comes to think about Teams, here, this is where we kind of lean on it day in, day out, especially during this changing time. So the 3 aspects I think about is, yes, before a meeting and or a Microsoft Teams meeting, we are able to chat with our attendees. We are able to collaborate on documentation, presentation. if I just be very candid about it, this is exactly how we kind of went through this whole journey to putting this webinar together. We were able to look at the content in terms of, hey, what do we need to prepare? During the session itself, while we are putting it all together in a real time, I'm able to see what the inputs are coming back and forth, how do we collaborate, and how do we make sure we are on the same page. So think about it from an evolution perspective. This is the same platform we will be using, leaning on to make sure we reconnect with you on the Q&As, for example. We will kind of get them back into your hands, share it with the larger audiences just to make sure we are collaborating and sharing information, leaning on one of the components on Teams. So from an evolution, great example to think about. This is what the webinar we are articulating, sharing, you having us join. This is a great example to think, how do we actually make sure it's an effective webinar? We convey and lean on, drive value to what it's important for you in your business. So let me share some of the key components here. And when I came across this, I was like, wow, this is great to think about as to how we are all still productive. We are making sure, and when I look at the current footprint of Microsoft Teams users right now, that's 2 million plus. And when I try to actually double click further, this comes to, and again, I was trying to do my maths, which took me a little while to do it. This comes to close to 3 billion minutes logged in per day on Teams presence in the 181 markets we have a good presence in. Fortune 100 companies, supported languages, in terms of the larger organizations with 10K plus users, you name it, it's hitting the home run right off the gates. So in terms of the adoption, day in, day out, the stats I'm showing are not as of today. They have been a little while ago, but the evolution, I think we have all heard it over social media through third-party organizations, how they are leaning on Teams to make sure they are productive, irrespective of the industry vertical. Now, when I think about it from a consistent platform across the board, how Teams is kind of helping us, it doesn't really matter. And there were some features I'm going to talk about it from a hub perspective, just down a more few slides down the road. But this is one of the only platform which is able to provide our users with a rich experience right out the gates, irrespective of what platform I am on. I can be on my mobile device, I can be on my PC, my device, my monitor, all in one. I can lean on Hub, which is in this picture we are showcasing a Lenovo's ThinkSmart, and or you can lean on HP and or third-party options we have available. So anytime you think about consistent experience across multiple screens and platforms, it's only Teams which is able to provide the rich experience. Now, when I think about it from a perspective of, how do we actually think about doing and leaning on it? This is exactly another way for me to think and lean on. As an example, I can actually use these to navigate, share my content, do my PowerPoint. I can view, join a call, share my screen, run through a session. I don't have to have my PC handy with me in case I don't have it. Now I think about it, I'm on the go most of the time. I find something which is what we need from a presentation perspective as an organization. This is something important for our marketing team. From a design perspective, this is something I can take a picture, start sharing it, presenting it. I can save that for my next meeting and have that as part of my clipboard and or the larger audiences I can share that with. So again, when I think about it, the ease of doing business and how actually I'm able to go drive that experience across multiple platforms, and actually I'm able to capture the information we need on the go, share it with the larger team. Again, I'm driving home a message in terms of better revenue, better, richer experience for my users. In terms of the devices we have shared, there are two buckets or two sections we kind of look at it. One is from a shared device perspective. The second one is as a personal device perspective. So this is what I wanted to kind of capture here. We do continue to invest and make sure all the updated components are posted. And if you're ever looking for some sort of third-party supported Microsoft Teams device, because there were a couple of questions on the Q&A around it, here's a hot link which I've also captured in my response back, but it's also on the slide here. My recommendation is please bookmark this site. This will be helping you making sure you're on top of the the supported devices from a team perspective. Now, when I think about it from a team's rules perspective, and we look at different options available. Yes, you can go drive that message in terms of one-touch experience, richer experience. So if I'm kind of coming back to my office when we are back, hopefully soon, we want to go into a conference room, log in either individually and or we can log in through our Teams room devices itself. So when I think about it from a device perspective dedicated to Teams, the one which comes to my mind is right out the gates is the HP Slice. I'm driving home the experience in terms of simple, flexible setup. Second component, it works with a lot of other third-party vendors out there who are working closely with Microsoft to make sure we are able to drive home the richer experience of one-touch device to our customers. So anytime we are all collaborating in a small room, larger room, we are able to lean on and log in collectively and lean on the third-party components. Like for example, in this picture, it's a Logitech camera. We do have speakers also available, so it brings home a fully rich experience for our customers itself. And the new one, which is also picking up a lot of publicity right now in terms of driving home a great experience, good feedback, has been the Think Smart View. Again, this is something which has been adopted by a lot of customers, big demand coming from our market. This is basically helping us actually have a dedicated resource and not leaning heavily on our PC and or a device. So I can actually have a separate device connected to my modern device, and this will actually give me the same rich experience, and I can manage my teams from a different device itself. So I'm leaning a lot more on external resources which can be leaned on, and this has been one of the key components, especially from an Android-based platform. So we will be able to drive home a message which is Android plus Teams. If you have a customer base which is basically going across from an iOS perspective and or an Android perspective. So let's move forward in terms of where we are in terms of our collaboration with different environment, different vendors. And this has been one of the key takeaways is, again, a smart solution, which is for our office once we are back shortly. So if you ever come across a need for a solution to come across from a hub perspective, yes, small, large, small dedicated areas, yes, there are solutions available with the third parties, and they all work seamlessly based on the blessing and the support from Microsoft. So now I'm going to pass it back to Ritu, and she's just going to help us double click further on the Teams component and how we can take advantage of that in this current world right now. Over to you, Ritu.
Perfect. Thanks, Raman. So one thing I do want to mention is the Lenovo Think Smart View. I have one coming and I'm so excited to use it. But one of the really cool features about it is that it's got built-in security features. So a built-in camera shutter and mic mute button as well. So if you're ever you're on a call and you want to protect yourself from being seen or heard, they're great features that are built right into the device. So if you're looking for ultimate productivity for your work from home solution right now, I would really recommend the Lenovo Think Smart View there. All right, so on to Microsoft Teams for free. So with COVID-19 continuing to impact people in countries around the world, teams everywhere are moving to remote work right now. At Microsoft, the top priority is the health and safety of employees, customers, partners, and communities. And by making Teams available to as many people as possible, we're aiming to support public health and safety by keeping teams connected while they work apart. So right now there is a free version of Microsoft Teams, and this kind of outlines here what's included in the free version versus the paid versions. You'll notice that a lot of the features are fully available. So I highly recommend to contact your CDW account manager today so that you can take advantage of that. And now I will pass it on to Matthew to close up here and open up Q&A.
All right, appreciate that, Raman and Ritu. Thanks for all that information. That was great. There are a couple of questions that have come in through the Q&A. The first one is, what happens if an AutoPilot device has to be repaired and then replaced? Will the new provided device be enrolled to AutoPilot as well, or automatically, or what's the process?
Do you want to
Sure.
take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So let me just summarize that question just for the audiences. So the question is, if you have a device enrolled in AutoPilot, it goes through for a repair. How do we actually get it back onto a registered device as part of AutoPilot journey? Is that the question? Did I capture that correctly in my head?
Yeah, that sounds like that. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So good question. So the way I look at it is, if you have a device which kind of went through a major repair. When I say that, I'm basically meaning that I'm actually replacing my motherboard, for example. I'm changing a lot of other components around it. In that scenario, yes, I will have to go back and reassign the device as a replacement device, and or a device which has been registered back to the same user. So I'll have to sunset the first device I had because I'm changing the motherboard. It'll actually go. It has to be captured by putting in the new credential, which is the hardware hash of a device, for example. I'll have to capture that and put that back on my Intune portal / the mobile device management platform. So yes, that will be a bit of a task. We'll have to just update, delete the existing device, replace it with a new one. Happy to kind of connect after just to maybe further elaborate on that. And if you still have any questions on that, happy to take it on.
Okay. Second question is around Teams functionality.
Yeah.
So in terms of running a Teams meeting, this person was running a company-wide meeting with over 30 participants. They were not able to see all participants real time. Is there any functionality in Teams that allow you to go beyond seeing a live 4 participants? Is that either in the current functionality, or is that in the roadmap for Teams?
So Raman, I can take this one here.
Sure.
Yeah, so it used to be that you could see 4 people, 4 participants at one time. Microsoft recently updated that in the last week or so here, and you're now able to see 9 participants in real-time environment.
Okay, so you can see 9 currently. Okay. So that is all the questions that we have from the Q&A. Certainly for anyone on the call who didn't get to ask their question or they want to follow up further, Raman and Ritu are certainly available for any follow-up conversations. I would ask that everyone please reach out to your account managers if you do want to schedule any further conversation about this. And you're certainly welcome to also reach out directly to Raman and Ritu, and they've provided their information here on this last slide. So either through them directly or through your account manager, I would certainly get any follow-up questions answered. And with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining, and thank you to Raman and Ritu for delivering all of the content today.